update. Am I the a-hole for dumping my girlfriend after moving in with her? Original post. I, 25 male, moved in with my girlfriend, 24 female of 4 years, 3 weeks ago. She chose the place, and although her name is on the lease, I paid half of the deposit and paid the first month of rent, as she couldn't afford it. I also paid the first month of bills. She works part-time and has some savings she used to furnish the place according to her taste, despite my objections. I felt she overspent, and the money could have been better spent on other things. She had a few friends over on Monday when I came home. She had ordered food, and as I normally come home from work at 5, she was surprised to see me there an hour earlier. They were a little drunk, and one of her friends made strange comments, which I thought nothing of due to the alcohol as I went to the bathroom to shower. When I came out from the shower, her other friends and sister was quoting me poetry that I had written to my girlfriend, and was quite handsy. I found it odd and asked her where she had heard that. She goes, "We just read your love letters to her before watching a movie." My girlfriend was laughing with them. Her sister made a remark about how she wanted me to do her the way I do her sister because she had never felt that way. I was furious, but due to her drunkenness, thought it impossible to talk to her. So I just left for my mother's house. On Tuesday, she called me 17 times, but I ignored it. She also sent me many texts wanting to know why I wasn't home. On Wednesday, I told her in person how hurt I was for her sharing my intimate letters with her friends and for oversharing what we do in private. She said, "Relax, it was a joke and nobody got hurt." She said the girls were impressed with me and that is why they got a little handsy. She said once I gave her the letters, they were hers to share with whom she pleased. So I told her that I am my own person and can make the decision to not share more of myself with her. Today she came to my mother's apologizing. She wanted me to come back and talk it out with her. I told her no and that we were through. She wouldn't leave, so I drove to my father's place, where I am now. She kept texting me and telling me that I should be ashamed of myself for leaving her like that. She got her friends and sister to apologize to me, and they told me to quit playing games and go home now that they had apologized. I told them I was home, and that as my name was not on the lease and I wasn't respected as an equal in her home, I no longer wanted to be with her. Luckily for me, I hadn't moved most of my stuff there. She kept phoning and texting, and I blocked her. She then made a mutual friend of ours contact me and tell me that I was being cowardly about it, so I blocked him too. Then his girlfriend texted me and told me not to take things out of proportion. I am almost certain I did the right thing, but maybe I should talk it out with her before cutting all contact? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Nobody got hurt. Odd she said that, after you explicitly said it hurt you. Also, don't love it when people rope their friends into internal relationship disputes. Personally, I wouldn't want to sign up for a life of this, so not the a-hole. Nah, she was just being honest. She just thinks OP is nobody to her. That she called him a B while trying to win him back was the final nail in the coffin. She thought a bloke calling him an emasculating name would shame him into coming back. Boy, did sis read that wrong. OP deserves better than someone who thinks getting your boyfriend groped by your drunk friends is a fun joke. Not the a-hole. Can you imagine what this situation would be viewed as if this was a guy treating a girl this way? She comes home and his friends are drunk. They've gone through her intimate stuff that she's given him. He talks to them about their intimate lives, and they all come up to her and start being handsy with her and telling her how great she is and to sleep with them in the same way. Then later on call her, apologize to her, then tell her she's being too sensitive and a B for not coming back. Yeah, that is quite the scene you just laid out. Totally disgusting, whether you are male or female. It's not just the love letters that I wrote intimate thoughts in that got to me. She shared our sex life too. I thought everyone knew that what happens between two people stays that way. The letters were sent and addressed to her when I was abroad, and it had a lot of info about my family, and I never thought she would share them with people I didn't address them to. Now for the update. After reading a lot of the advice here and talking it out with my family and friends, it seems it's best to not continue my relationship. I haven't contacted her directly, but I went with my brother and my friend while she went to visit her parents on a pre-booked trip. I collected my things and gave my brother the key to give her Friday evening. She wouldn't take it from him as she wanted me to return it. My brother told her there was zero chance of that happening because of the TikTok post she had on her account going into more details about what was in the letters from me, including her mentioning my sister by name and her miscarriages. This forced my sister to tell my mother about it, even though it brought up a lot of trauma for her. At the moment, my sister is not talking to me because she felt I shouldn't have shared that with anyone. I agree. It was a violation on my part, even though I was looking for emotional support from my girlfriend. My ex took down the post in hopes of getting me to meet with her. When she realized that wouldn't happen, she put up another one telling her side of the story. There were several parts, and in it she was looking for the letters to show her followers. But I knew where she kept them and took them while I went to collect my stuff. I burnt all of them. I won't be writing letters to any new romantic partners anytime soon. Her sister has been to my mother's a few times trying to get me to help out with the rent. As according to my ex's reasoning, if I hadn't agreed to pay for the rent, she wouldn't have overspent in setting up her home the way she wanted. Even if she sells the stuff, she won't get the original price for it, so she feels it's my fault for making her lose money. She did contact the landlord, filmed for TikTok viewers while she was on the phone to him, and he denied her breaking the lease without penalties. Now she has to pay the remainder of the months. I asked her for my deposit through my friend while he was on a loudspeaker to her, so I could hear her side without having to speak, knowing full well I wouldn't get my part, but at least he tried. She called him a lot of names, then phoned him back and apologized because she wanted him to tell me to phone her so she could straighten out the misunderstanding and we could get back together. She has now taken down all the posts about me. Don't know if she will upload them again once it dawns on her that we are through. She phoned my brother again to make me speak to her so she could explain, and he met her a few hours ago. He finally gave her the key as she was told either she could take it or we could return it to the landlord. He picked up a call from her an hour after I dropped off the keys. She wanted to talk to me and to forgive her, as she had seen how she made a mistake and that it wouldn't happen again. She wanted me to return the love letters, but my brother told her they were burned. She had to go at him, so my brother cut her off. She phoned back more apologetic and said what she had to do to make me go back. He asked her if she would be okay with me sharing her nudes and clips she has sent me with my male friends. He asked her this without okaying it with me first. She said she wouldn't be okay with it. I guess the double standard has completely turned me off, as she told my brother that if you receive something through a romantic relationship, then it stays between four eyes. It's not that she doesn't understand that what she did is wrong, it's that she expects me to be okay with it, as in her mind, her feelings matter more in a relationship. She also thinks that me being taller and bigger than her shouldn't have felt threatened by her friends or sister, as I was not really in harm's way. He then blocked her as she phoned him several times over and left him crying messages, and then some angry messages to delete her nudes. Her sister left an angry message with a friend that helped me with asking for the deposit, and she threatened him that if I ever leaked her nudes, I wouldn't live to regret it. She told him to pass on the message to me that there is something she's very insecure about sharing about her body, and she doesn't want me to share that without her consent. I'm getting a new number as I can do so with my current payment plan. I'm going forward from this and hoping that I make better decisions in the future. Thank you to all that helped me with good advice. Her double standards and that of her sister are seriously disgusting. You got rid of a cancer in your life, bro. Forward and upward. I honestly get how love letters can be different to nudes, but in this case, they aren't. F the sister for that, and all those hypocrites. Call me crazy, but is it really that hard to understand you shouldn't embarrass your partner for your friend's amusement? His ex is someone who puts her life on TikTok, possibly without realizing it's her worst side. It's unsurprising that she shared personal info for her friend's amusement. So, OP is rightly upset about girlfriend sharing intimate details of their relationship, and then girlfriend decides to post, check notes, multiple times to TikTok about said intimate relationship issues, and is shocked he won't speak to her? Alright then. Let's not forget the sexual harassment of ex-girlfriend's sister groping and asking to hook up. Like, was he supposed to agree and then do her right there? Yeesh. OP's ex could have fixed this with an immediate apology, but no. She kept doubling down. Also, girl, when you go to a lower-paying job, you don't spend your savings on frivolous things. Well, in her mind, she had someone else to pay day-to-day expenses. She was going to save up for a few months while he paid rent. I doubt she would have ever paid anything towards it. Dropping down to part-time before moving into your first place is pretty deliberate. I also doubt that the landlord said only one person could be on lease. That's weird, at least where I live. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for blocking my ex when she broke up with me? Original post. My 19 male ex-girlfriend, 20 female of 3 years, broke up with me Sunday night over text. She told me that she felt like my lack of ambition was holding her back and she needed to move on with her life because she felt like I didn't value her. When she sent me that, I just sent okay and blocked her and fell asleep shortly after. I did not block her friends and had loads of messages yesterday morning when I woke up. They were asking me to unblock her and talk to her. My sister, 20 female, is also friends with my ex-girlfriend, and she told me that my ex was hurt by my sudden blocking and that she still wanted to talk to me for closure and wanted to make sure I was okay. I told my sister that I was okay and that I didn't want to talk to my ex, but would like it if she could tell her I appreciate her checking on me. My sister was not happy with this and told me that it was a hard decision for my ex and she just wants to talk to me. I again told her I was fine and that I'd rather not. My sister then told me that I'm acting insanely calm for being broken up with someone I was with for 3 years. I again told her I was fine. She asked me if I cried, and I told her that I didn't, and I just fell asleep listening to music. My sister told me that she's concerned about my lack of emotion and told me that my behavior isn't normal. I told her that I'm not obligated to cry over anything, and I think it's weird that she was acting like I was. My sister once again told me that it wouldn't hurt to have one conversation with my ex because she was still worried about me and wanted to stay friends. I once again told her that I was fine and didn't want to talk to her. She told me that my lack of compassion is psychotic, and that ticked me off, so I just started ignoring her and she eventually left me alone. This morning, when I woke up, my sister sent me a bunch of text messages again, so I just blocked her, and because of this, she went and told our parents and they are upset with me for blocking my ex without communicating first. They said that we've been together long enough and they thought of her as a second daughter. I was just aggravated at this point and told them that I'd appreciate it if they mind their business. But they didn't stop, so I told them I wouldn't hesitate to block them too if they continue, which caused them to stop. They apologized to me and told me that they didn't mean any harm, but just felt like it was a little inconsiderate of me to just block her without talking about it first. But they won't press me to talk to her if I don't want to. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Are you kidding? She says she doesn't want to date you, and that is mad when you cut contact? She can't have it both ways. She dumped you. She chose to end it. She's a huge a-hole for making her inability to deal with her emotions about the breakup your problem. Like, why should you babysit her emotions when she freaking dumped you? Thank you. I don't understand why everyone was making it seem like I was in the wrong when I wasn't even the one who broke up with her. It was a strategic dumping, a wake-up call. Your sister may even have been in on it. And second thoughts make that probably. You were supposed to realize what you were about to lose and get your act together. Then you'd all live happily ever after. Except you, because your significant other would threaten to dump you every time you didn't comply. By accepting it and not following their script, you ruined the narrative and left your ex hanging with no plan B. The closure was code for you begging for a second chance if you agreed to straighten up, and your ex graciously agreeing. Nice body swerve there. Your ex and possibly your sister seemed to be playing stupid games, and you were well out of it. Nobody raising the point that she broke up via freaking text? A 3-year relationship. WTF. And then everyone claims the recipient of the text is an a-hole. That is crazy. I have the feeling girlfriend didn't want to break up, but rather have OP up himself to whatever she deems good enough. His sister's reaction is strange as well. Too invested in this drama that isn't one. I'm guessing ex and sister cooked this up to fight for us, or trick him into something. Yep, she's furious she's not getting any validation from OP. No begging, no pleading. Ignoring her is absolutely the best thing OP could do. And yeah, sister absolutely was part of the discussion. OP needs to talk to his parents about that part. That nonsense should not fly. Now for the update. This happened like exactly a week ago, so I apologize for not updating. I genuinely was not thinking about this at a time. Basically, my ex showed up at my parents' house during Easter with my sister. My parents and I weren't even made aware that she was coming. She told us that she only came because she had no other way to communicate with me. She told me that she was extremely hurt by me blocking her right off the bat because it made her feel like I actually didn't care about her at all. She said she thought that I would have loved her enough to try and better myself for her. I was confused by this, to be honest. I told her that she said I was holding her back and she needed to move on. If anyone told me that I was holding them back in life, I probably would have blocked them too. I told her that even if she didn't say that, I still wouldn't have begged her to stay. We kinda talked a little more after that, and then she got my sister to take her back home. When my sister came back, she was mad at me again because she said that I caused my ex to cry, and I'm simply punishing her for caring about me. My parents are mad at my sister though, because they said it was unnecessary for her to do that at their house because it made the atmosphere awkward for everyone. Other than that, I've really just been chilling. I don't think I'ma try and date anybody else soon though, or at least not someone my sister is friends with, because it makes me uncomfortable with how much she's invested in my life. Not the a-hole. She broke up with you. She has no reasonable way to expect that you would continue to follow her around like a lost puppy. Showing up at your parents' house to talk to you after you blocked her is stalker behavior. So she made herself cry when it didn't turn out like she wanted. This girl overplayed her hand. What she thought was that OP would beg her to stay and ask what he could change about himself to improve. Instead, OP was like, "Cool, peace out." Yep, and she deserves exactly what's happened. If there is something that needs to change, you talk like an adult to your partner and see if you can come to a good compromise if you can. Awesome if you can't. It's a shame, but you aren't compatible. OP's ex-girlfriend played stupid game. Won stupid prize. Sister is way out of line for encouraging this kind of behavior and saying OP needs to accommodate this kind of ridiculous behavior. Yeah, you have no reason at all to not block her. If she really broke up with you in an attempt to get you to level up for her, that is absolutely moronic. I wonder which idiotic woman in her life told her that this was a good idea. She 100% did not get that advice from a man, because any man would have told her that that idea was idiotic. We should all be going full no contact after a breakup. Also, why the heck would you try to convince someone who has already decided that they don't want you anymore to stay with you? Who the heck would want to be with a woman who doesn't want to be with them? That sounds like a nightmare relationship. We taking bets on this? Because I want $10 on his sister. Update. I found out that I wasn't my husband's first choice. Original post. My husband 29 and I 26. Met online 3 years ago and we got married last May. We have had a great relationship and our wedding day was the happiest day in my life. My husband is so good to me and he makes me feel so loved and appreciated. And I love him so much. But everything changed last Monday. I was on my sister-in-law's baby shower and when they didn't know I was listening, my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and sister-in-law's best friend were in the kitchen talking about my husband and I. The friend said she liked me a lot, and my sister-in-law said she was happy I let Maddie go and settled with me, and that she never thought this would happen. I pretended that I didn't hear them, but I knew Maddie to be a close friend of my husband from college. He never mentioned that they were in a relationship. All I knew is that she moved to live in another city after graduation and that she couldn't attend our wedding. So since Monday, I have been pondering. I'm happy with him, but I wanted to know why he never mentioned anything about Maddie. So today, I did what any sensible wife would do, and I waited for him to go to work and started snooping around on his iPad. He doesn't know I know his code. I didn't even need to look for long. There it was. Tens, maybe hundreds of texts between them over a period of years. Before he met me and even after. From what I understood, he has asked her out many times and she has refused. Him telling her he would never love anyone like her and she stopped him with a wink emoji that says, "I won't have you, but please do keep trying." One of Maddie's texts, right before we got married, was about how she knew she would eventually end up with him. My husband texts back that he was getting married soon and that he was happy. She answered, "You can always get a divorce." And my husband sent a cry, laughing, and winky emojis. She then texted, "If you chose between the two of us, who would you choose?" He answered, "You only want me when I'm not available." She answered, "Shut up. I know you still love me." He didn't answer. The last exchange between them was 3 weeks ago. She told him that she's moving back home and that she missed him and wondered if they could meet. He said of course he wanted to meet. She asked him, wouldn't your wife mind? Winky face. He answered, why should she? She, if she knew what I want to do to you, she should be worried actually. He, stop teasing, it won't work. She, I'm not teasing. That poor woman won't stand a chance. She, I called you, why didn't you pick up? He, we're having dinner, I will call you tomorrow. So that's all I could find. I haven't talked to him yet because I don't know how to approach the subject. I think there's definitely something between them. But I can't ask him because he would know that I went through his texts. I'm very hurt. I thought he loved me and that he was happy with me. I want to cry. I don't know what my next step should be. One moment I want to pretend I had no idea and wait for him to leave me. The next I want to run away and never come back. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Send a screenshot with just this segment. You can always get a divorce. And my husband sent a cry laughing at winky emojis with a message that says, you got your wish, crying laughing at winky emojis. Seriously though, jokes aside, the fact that he hasn't even mentioned her to you makes me feel he won't ever be honest or loyal. The emojis killed me. What does it even mean? The problem is with women like her. I think it's interesting to her as long as he's married. The day I ask for divorce, he's gonna lose both. Of course. It is too stupid to know that. She likes having him on a hook to boost her ego. Your sister-in-law already knew this all along. Yep, women can sense women who are like this a mile away. But try to tell men that and some will just say that women never understand her. Women are always jealous of her, etc. Nope. Women just know a shady pick-me chick when we see one. Hey OP, I 27 female have been in your position. Trust me, they don't change. And know what? When I finally got the courage to leave years later, after a lot of cheating/manipulation on his part, I found the love of my life. I've never been happier. Point is, you don't have to stay. You will find happiness. Save yourself the time and all the extra heartache. Good luck. Definitely take screenshots and confront him. Do you know if he met up with this woman yet or if she moved back yet? I have been snooping on her IG. She's moving back December 1st. I don't know if I should confront him now or wait until she moved here. I am kinda curious about what he would do if she's here. But I don't know if he cheats it would kill me, although I feel like he already killed me. This whole comment section is a dumpster fire of bad advice. Talk to your freaking husband. Don't break stuff. Don't forward his text chain to everyone you know. And now for the first update. I don't believe the amount of people that were interested in my story. So many replies and upvotes that a post got locked. I knew I could find support online because I just couldn't be the only one with an indecisive douche for a husband. And I was not wrong. Before I continue, I need to say that I never expect to be my significant other's first love, and not even the last. I just expect to be the only one as long as he's chosen to be in my life. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. So please, people with "he has lived before you" comments, don't purposefully misinterpret what I'm saying. As I said in my last post, I have been pondering all week, and I just came to the conclusion that my/our situation is either bad or worse. Bad if my husband is innocent of cheating and is just liking the attention of the one that he once was tormented by. That would explain his aloofness and his very short replies. He wants her attention but nothing more. Worse is that he's having an emotional affair, and is either scared of trusting her fully, hence the vague text, or is just waiting for her to move back before making a move. Either situation isn't something I want to live with. Whatever anyone says about his text, I thought he showed little to no respect for me. And no love at all. I want someone to love me even behind my back. Because it doesn't matter how much he shows me he loves me, it's what he doesn't show that matters. And please don't tell me they're friends. We're grown-ups. We don't put friends over spouses and family. It's not cool. So today I told him that I don't think it's working out for me and that I want a divorce. I thought about confrontation, but the outcome is the same, so why not save the drama? I don't care to know more about details about them, or maybe I care too much. He was very shocked and asked me if there was someone else, and I said no. I have been thinking, and this is not where I want to be in my life right now. He wanted to know more. Is it a question about having kids? Is it our living situation? He was mad, then sad, then mad again, and left. He texted that he wanted to talk more when he got home. Maybe I will regret not confronting him and hearing his side of the story, but something broke inside me when I saw how he was in his texts. I don't view him the same way now, and all I can think of now is to get out of this with my dignity intact. I can mourn what we had and cry later. Now for more advice before the final update. Tell him what you found. It's not about her winning. He should know his actions led to this outcome. He betrayed you and this is the consequence of his betrayal. I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not disclosing what you found. I absolutely agree. Definitely tell him so he knows why. Opie doesn't have to change her mind no matter what it says, but let him know. Exactly my thoughts. Otherwise, he would think Opie's divorcing him out of the blue. He needs to know that he is the reason why this is happening. I would just confront him still so he can live with regret. If you don't tell him the truth, I'm afraid he's going to just get with a friend and live guilt-free because he feels as if you wanted to end it. Then she'll feel as if she won. And she angers me more than you know. But I would feel more satisfied having them know karma is going to get them both. It bothers me when individuals have no conscience and do whatever they want without any consequences. Just my opinion doesn't mean you should follow it. I agree. I feel he needs to know that his actions have led to this, rather than it looking like Opie deciding they just aren't interested anymore. Doesn't mean it has to be a conversation. A simple, I have read XYZ, I don't need an explanation as it's clear enough. Please show me respect by not pushing this further. Do you think so? I think she would win if she knew I left him because of the flirting. Actually, I don't give a crap about her. What killed me was his actions and his text back to her advances. I'm sure she won't want him now that he's single. He's coming home later and he will probably pester me to tell him more. Let's hope I don't cave. You need to tell him why more reasons than that. 1, he will spin a narrative that you left him with no reason. You will look like the bad guy. And you will be the bad guy because he deserves to know why you're leaving. 2, he needs to be aware on how he messed up so that he can reflect on what he's done and take that lesson moving forward to his next relationship. 3, your kids might blame you or grow to resent you if they think you walked away from their dad without trying to fix things. Not saying to tell the kids the reason, but if everyone around them is saying mom divorced dad for no reason, that's gonna impact them. We don't have kids. We have been talking about one, etc. If we had kids, I would probably have handled it totally differently. I can't imagine altering my life so dramatically based on reading text messages, and then not confronting the person to get an understanding of what I read. Honestly, kind of crazy. Good luck. There was a lot more text than what I put in my first post. A lot. And if you read them, you would think I didn't even exist. As I said, she was mostly the instigator, but he did text first a couple of times. Like the one on his bachelor party. He texted first, saying he was so sad she didn't come. He wanted to see her one last time before he entered the cage. She answered that she had a key to that cage. He answered, haha. Now for the final update. I have read everything my husband written, and it's basically the same stuff he has been texting me since yesterday. He is embarrassing, actually, to see him call my feelings her crazy and putting women in leagues. I can't believe he still thinks this is fixable. He wants us to start counseling because we can't break up over something this stupid. He doesn't want to cut Maddie out because it will only prove that he has feelings for her, and must therefore block her to move on when it's untrue, and that he wasn't going to meet her alone, but be one of the people who will help her move. Yes, husband is a doctor, Maddie's too. It doesn't mean he's smart though, because he isn't. I am a chef. One of the things Maddie, and probably many others, make sly remarks on. No, I haven't spoken nor do I intend to speak to her. Neither to tell her off or to tell her he's hers. I don't want anything to do with her. My problem is with my dear husband. I do think she's a pathetic, miserable, attention-seeking, home-wrecking hoe, but I will keep that to myself because my husband is the one who wronged me. If she and my husband end up together, it's only logical, because he's also a pathetic, miserable, attention-seeking home-wrecker. A match made in heaven. I'm going to file for divorce and that's that. I'm so sorry for everything that has happened, and I'm sorry it was over a stupid thing, but I'm thankful that it happened sooner rather than later. Thank you. I'm sorry that you're going through this. It seems like there are some other issues that exist in your relationship, and this is the final straw. This is more than a silly text. It's disrespectful and untrustworthy, and you need both in a marriage. I hope you're doing okay. I'll leave a window that if you somehow work things out, that isn't bad either. Not encouraging you to, but I've ended relationships and had people say you dodged a bullet when I wasn't trying to dodge it, and I still care about the person. Stay strong. I still love him, but I love myself more. I posted something yesterday, but I think the fact that he's refusing to remove the antagonizing factor in all this is and will always be problematic. May you move forth in healing, in growth, and in true happiness. He still insists that if he cuts her off, she will think he has feelings for her. I don't know, but we talked a lot yesterday. I felt like he cared a lot about not giving her the idea that he had feelings for her. Why is it so important if he really doesn't care? Now for the last story. My wife is considering divorcing me after finding out the real reason we started dating. I love my wife very much and she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. However, our relationship started in what you can call a non-traditional way. First, some background information. My 34 male cousin, 35 male, and I have always had a friendly rivalry. Ever since we were children, we were always trying to one-up one another, and when it got to high school, it really amped up. If I bought a jacket, he would go out and buy a nicer jacket. If he bought the newest gaming system, I would purposely steal his games, even though I didn't own a Super Nintendo yet. Whenever I dated a girl or showed interest in a girl, he would swoop in and take her from me. It got so bad that we actually had a couple of physical altercations over it. Things came to a head when, long story short, he slept with my long-term crush. Let's call her Stacy. I vowed to get revenge. I noticed him talking to a girl from my class. Let's call her Jane. Being all flirty towards her, spending a lot of time with her, and so on. I didn't waste any time. I asked her out as soon as I could, and she said yes. Turns out she had a crush on me for a while, even though I did not find her remotely attractive. The date actually went really well. Turns out we shared a lot of the same interests. I kept dating her to rub it into my cousin because I noticed he was still talking to her between classes. Over time, I came to love Jane's personality and forgot the fact that I wasn't physically attracted to her. We dated all throughout university and we got married 5 years ago. I can't picture life without her. Now that COVID-19 restrictions have loosened up, we had Steven over for dinner. To my great surprise, Steven is currently dating Stacy, and it turns out they reconnected when they were both hired to the same company this summer. We were reminiscing about old times, and our rivalry came up. We had all been drinking at that point, and I mentioned that in high school Steven slept with Stacy because he knew that I had liked her. I then added, but the rivalry ended up working out for me. I asked Jane out as revenge because I knew you had a crush on her, and then we're married. I definitely should not have said this, as several people got upset when I revealed this information. Stacy was shocked that Steven had treated her like a prize and objectified her. Steven revealed that he had never had a crush on Jane. They were just in the same math class and Jane was helping him with his schoolwork. He scoffed that Jane wasn't a prize after all, and I felt humiliated. I wasn't aware. I thought Jane was upstairs putting our daughters to sleep. She had been standing in the hallway behind me, listening into our whole conversation. I could see the horror in Stacy's face and realized that my wife was standing behind me, sobbing. Jane has always been very sensitive about not being one of the hot girls, and I had been the first boy to ever ask her out on a date. I started trying to apologize and explain that I love Jane very much now. I fell in love with her wonderful personality, her kindness, her intelligence, and so on. She didn't even listen to any of my heartfelt compliments and instead asked Steven and I to leave the house. Now Stacy and Steven have broken up, and he is blaming me. But even worse, my wife threatening to divorce me over this whole thing. She says our entire relationship was based on a lie, and she will never be able to look at me or our relationship in the same way. How can I convince her that my feelings for her might not have started out that way, but are very real now? I love this woman, and I love our marriage and the life we have built together. We have 2 young daughters, 3 and 1, and I don't want them to grow up in a broken home. What can I do to fix this? Let's go off the list. You haven't called her attractive once in the entire post. You let your cousin scoff and say she wasn't a prize, and you didn't argue at all. You admitted out loud you never liked her and dated her for a while still not liking her. You forgot that you weren't attracted to her, not that you became attracted to her. You openly admit the other woman sitting in front of you guys was your original target. Yeah, you totally blew it. And it sounds like you did very little to soothe her. You really make it sound like you love her personality but aren't attracted to her, which is a deal breaker for most people. No one wants to, / should ever hear that their spouse is with them in spite of their appearance. Like, damn man, I was coming in to say things change. Like you had an online to real-life girlfriend I met in an online game who I only befriended to borrow an in-game item. But this is awful. Yeah, I was also expecting the story where he wasn't attracted to her when they first dated, but he is now. And this is not that. Steven revealed that he had never had a crush on Jane. They were just in the same math class and Jane was helping him with his schoolwork. He scoffed that Jane wasn't a prize after all, and I felt humiliated. Why did you feel humiliated? Because he went for a woman that his idiot cousin didn't actually like, of course. How embarrassing for him. Update. My 24 female friend, 24 female, wants me to believe that my fiancé, 28 male, violated her. Original story. I'm out of town for the weekend. Had to go babysit for my sister. My friend knows this and still decided to go to my apartment because she was too drunk to make it to her place. She knew I wouldn't be there. Her and my fiancé barely even talk. They never hang out unless I'm there. But supposedly, she still went without even telling me. My fiancé messaged me right away that she was there and that he didn't know what to do. I told him to let her stay in our guest bedroom. She went to bed and my fiancé and I FaceTimed until super late. My friend didn't tell me that she was there until this morning. She calls me saying that she went to stay at my place last night, but had to leave super early this morning after my fiancé violated her. She swears it happened. After talking to him, I feel like it's possible that it didn't happen. I don't want to dismiss my friend's feelings, but I've also known my fiancé for over 10 years and know he's a good guy. I've known this friend for a year and I don't think she's a bad person either. My friend said she won't press charges, but just wants me to know what he did. I don't know what to believe. Of course, this all happens 2 months from our wedding. How should I handle this? How do I know who's lying? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Isn't it super fishy the fact that she went to your place even though she knew you weren't there? Why would she go there if she doesn't even talk to your boyfriend? Was she out drinking by herself? It just doesn't make any sense to me. That part where she won't press any charges but she wants you to know sounds more like, I just want you to break up with him based solely on what I'm telling you. That's how I felt too. If the man I'm about to marry is like that, then please help me put him in jail. I still don't get why she went to our place either. Tell her to get a kit test done. Her response will help you gauge whether it's BS, because sounds like it is. Offer your support to go with her to the hospital to get a kit. Ask what she needs from your apartment to prove this happened, because obviously he should go to jail if he's really that person, right? I would take your fiancé's word on this, to be honest. Not a bad idea. I'm back in town this afternoon. Maybe I'll tell her I can take her to the hospital as soon as I'm back. I really want to take my fiancé's word on this too, but I don't want to just assume that she's lying either. Most likely scenario, your boyfriend was not interested in her advances and fabricated a story to get you to break up. Nothing happened, except her being drunkenly half-dressed in the hallway. The fact your friend knew you were not there but showed up without contacting you makes her suspicious, and she's the one that set up your boyfriend to be the bad guy. I really can't understand why she didn't let me know until this morning. She was with it enough to remember my address, but not to call me? That's so weird to me. And now for the update. Hey guys, here's the update. Finally. So long story short, my friend made it all up. My plan was to go to her place once I'd come back in town. I tried to get her to go get a test kit done. Unfortunately, I was stuck at my sister's with her kids. So my fiancé decided to go to her place without telling me and got the truth out her. He recorded their conversation, thankfully. She admitted that she lied, and I also found out that she was the one trying to kiss him multiple times that night, before he finally told her to go to bed or he'd kick her out. He told her we have a camera in our hallway, and we'll be taking it to the cops to sue her if she doesn't tell me the truth. She messaged me after their conversation, and instead of just admitting what she did, she tried to blame me, saying that these past few months all I've been talking about is the wedding. It is like I don't have time for her anymore. That her lying about this was the only way for her to get my attention. I tried to call her after that, and she wouldn't answer my phone calls. I even went to her place after I got back in town, and she wouldn't open the door. So needless to say, she will not be a part of my wedding. I've never had a lot of friends, and now I'm wondering what's even the point if all they bring is trouble. Anyway, thank you so much for your ideas and advice. You guys are the best. She wasn't your friend. Friends don't do that to each other. Don't let this experience stop you from having friends in the future. Not everyone is off the rocker. It just sucks that you don't know how messed up people are until they show their real colors. I would have never thought she would have done something like this. I thought she was an amazing person.
In the words of my estranged sister, that's what you get for thinking. Glad it all worked out for you. She sounds incredibly messed up. Thank God her lies didn't do the damage she obviously wanted them to. Yes, I'm so thankful he was able to snap her out of her lies. Now we have that recording, and the texts she sent me admitting she did lie, just in case she tries to lie about it again. Being accused of this sort of offense is the worst fear of many men. What a psycho. I know. I feel bad that I put him in this situation. I should have let him give her a ride home when he insisted on doing so. Facts. I had some female friends telling me to go to parties, and I absolutely refused for fear of being near people that are intoxicated, because I'm terrified that one day someone will try and ruin my life with an accusation like this. Next story. I, 29 male, can't seem to forgive my sister, 26 female, after she completely bailed on me when I was on the brink of being homeless. My sister from a young age has had only one person to rely on, and that person was me. We come from a broken family, with one parent that was only around till I was 5 and the other who was stuck in a cycle of addiction. Because of our situation, I grew up very quickly and shielded her from things as much as I could. She obviously was aware of what was going on, but she was not in the crosshairs. I started with stealing from our mother to make sure we had food and bills were paid. I got a part-time job at 13 because we couldn't rely on our mother, and when I graduated high school, I immediately got 2 jobs and we moved out. I had to push my sister through high school. She wasn't an easy teen for obvious reasons, on top of going month to month trying to get as much money together to pay our bills. Then at 19, she finally graduated after being held back a year. She changed her tune a lot and she started working as well and had her own place when she was 21. I finally got a shot to do something for myself and got a degree. As a result, I got a much better job, but unfortunately that was right before the pandemic hit, so I pretty much went from hired to fired as I was a new hire. Now, the reason I'm saying all that is not to pat myself on the back, but to stress why my reaction is the way it is. I was out of work, on the brink of losing my apartment. It only had one person who I expected I could turn to, my sister. She was recently married, still lives obviously, with her husband, so I asked if I could stay a few weeks, at most a few months until I got a new job. It was a no. I was taken aback, but it remained to be a no. A week or 2 later, I was kicked out of my apartment, so I asked again and it was a no. At this point, I'm homeless, and the only reason I didn't end up sleeping on the damn streets was because I could crash with a few friends until I got a temporary job. I rented a room with a bunch of roommates for a while, eventually got a job in my field again and am now doing fine. That said, I have not spoken to my sister since. She has called, messaged, banged on my door, sent crying voice messages, apologized dozens of times, tried to explain herself, tried going to my job, tried going to friends. Everything. I haven't said a word to her, and it's been over a year now. She recently had a child and she is still desperately trying to reach out. She claims her husband refused to let me stay. He even reached out several times to beg me to reach out. But to me, the one time I needed her, she basically tells me to F myself. And I feel like it was the last push I needed to just end that chapter of my life. I feel bad, but just not bad enough, I guess. Even my friends and my girlfriend are on my case that I should forgive her, and that they understood it at first, but now think I'm being an a-hole. What would you guys do? Now for the top advice. Tell your friends and girlfriend that only you get to decide when you're ready to talk to your sister. That is not their place nor their business to try to force you into an interaction that you aren't emotionally ready for. And if they care about you at all, they will shut the hell up and let you do things when you are ready to do them. And send your sister one message telling her that you aren't closing the door on ever having a relationship with her, but you need her to back off and give you the time and space to work through your feelings of betrayal. That you will reach out to her when, and if, you are ready to, and not a minute before. And the more she pushes, the less you want to be around her. Then get into counseling to work through your feelings. Decide how much of a relationship with her you can handle emotionally, and then proceed from there. If your girlfriend and friends keep pushing, then they are only doing so for their own selfish purposes rather than out of concern for you, and you need to shut them down hard. This is a good advice. Some skeptical part of me is wondering why the sister wants OP back in her life now that she has a baby. Babysitting? Defraying baby expenses? Wanting OP to play the happy, generous uncle? If it was really guilt, she would have reached out earlier. And it seems like sister only reached out once OP was back on his feet. Edited to add, it could be that all of OP's sacrifices have led to her growing up to be very self-centered, because all along she's never had to think of someone else. Your friends and girlfriend need to back off when this isn't their situation. You decide what you want to do here. They have zero say in the matter. I completely get your anger. You, at your lowest point, needed help after spending your entire life helping her up. And she said, nah, that inconveniences me. I'd be upset too. The hardest part would be trusting her again, because she's already shown she isn't trustworthy. His friends and girlfriend have no idea what it's like to grow up hard like that. The betrayal is like a knife in the heart. Since the last question is, what would you do? It's easy. I would not reach out. I'm someone who will do pretty much anything for friends and family, but as soon as I'm done with someone, I'm done. There's no going back. Ever. Sure, sometimes I miss some people that were in my life, but never enough to get back on that decision. Last story. My husband wanted me to promise him to never date anyone if he passes. I, female 36, have been married to my husband Thomas, male 34, for 6 years. He has a chronic heart condition that made him suffer for years. We have 2 kids together and he adores them, but couldn't be with them all the time or do normal activities together due to his condition. I work to be able to pay for rent/expenses and medical bills, which are the hardest. It's been like this for years. Thomas's health is greatly declining, and we recently were able to get him a device to improve his heart function, but it's not a long-term solution. Lately, Thomas has been asking me or the kids to sleep in bed with him. Before that, he used to sleep alone for medical reasons, including using catheter and having medical devices in his hand and chest. He was at a hospital for 2 weeks and said he missed me and the kids, although I was with him often. Last night, he was talking to me about what the kids told him they wanted to become when they grow up. He took his time to talk because this was a highly emotional moment for him. He kept telling me he knew he wasn't going to witness how our kids will turn out and what they become when they grow up. He said he'd be lucky if he could attend their next birthday, which I admit could be an exaggeration on his part. But I let him vent about what's been bothering him and try not to interrupt him. He then started talking about us, asking me what I would do if he passed away. Those questions I couldn't find an easy answer for, but he proceeded to ask if I was going to start over with someone new. He pulled my face close to his and said he wanted me to promise him to never date anyone after him, no matter what. I don't know why, but I froze in my place. He kept looking at me, telling me to promise him in front of our kids. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel hesitant. I had a very odd feeling, and something told me to not do it, especially not when he decided to get the kids involved. I pulled away and assured him he's the love of my life and everything I care about, as well as our children. He got upset, saying I was avoiding his request, and said he didn't expect me to even hesitate, let alone refuse to promise. I calmly explained how heavy his words were, but he said I probably had no problem seeing and dating someone. It might as well get the kids a new dad. I swore I'd never force my kids to call someone else dad, and he flat out called me a liar to my face. This made me speechless. He loudly told me to get out of the room. I tried to get him to calm down, but he started yelling at me to stop talking to him, after I made it clear he didn't mean that much to me. Then he told me to understand something, which is that he's going to make the kids promise him that if I ever meet someone new, then they should cut me out of their lives and stay with his family. I was in a shock. I called him unreasonable for thinking this was an acceptable thing to do to our kids. He said I should be happy I will no longer be held back by the kids, and that they live with their grandparents and aunts, not some guy I get married to. He kept insulting me till I broke down crying. He asked me to leave the room and threatened to pull his cannula if I stayed. I immediately walked out because I didn't want to get himself hurt over an argument. I understand he was just feeling scared and worried, but I think he was being unfair towards me with how he spoke to me. I felt so bad to the point where I wished I said yes to his promise if I knew he'd react this way. Everyone keeps telling me to have some grace and be patient because Thomas is dealing with so much right now, but they keep forgetting that I'm struggling too. I barely eat and basically have no appetite. I handle everything and have no room to vent, and yet I'm somehow at fault for how he acted? Frankly, I have no idea why I didn't promise him what he wanted and feel like he was being too harsh on me. Even the family say no matter what he does, I should just grin and bear. But I'm not sure if I can take it anymore. This reminds me of another Reddit post where a dying woman had gifted her daughter a journal. And in the journal, she had badmouthed any future woman the dad might marry after her death. The poster kept the journal a secret, but those words poisoned her relationship with both her father and later her father's eventual wife. The father had no idea. It was a tremendously sad story. That little girl never, ever should have been subjected to the depressed, scared thoughts of a dying woman. That's what I thought when you said your kids were present when your husband tried to make your promise in front of them. Poisoning the future, because they'll remember this. You need help. Well, he needs help too, but let's start with you. You need someone to help work through this, because what he's doing is sabotaging your future with your kids, and that is not okay. Remember that you matter too, OP, and what you need matters. Terminally ill people undergo personality changes sometimes. People do and say all kinds of weird things when they're grieving and panicking. I don't expect him to be an angel who tells you to find love and happiness after his death, though some terminally ill people do. However, going so far as to try to make you promise, doing it in front of your kids, and threatening to emotionally blackmail you via your children is off the map. You and your children should be in therapy, as a group and perhaps individually. This is very hard, and you should have disinterested support from someone. OP, you need to do several things. 1. Right away sit your kids down and explain to them that daddy loves them, but is very sick, and that is making him say things he doesn't mean. It's hurtful, but they should be nice to him and not take the things he says too seriously. Above all, they should understand that promises made to someone who isn't in their right mind don't count, because he will try to get them to promise him things. 2. Talk to his doctor and see if there's any medical reason he might be cognitively affected. 3. Keep the kids away from him except when you're there, so that you can head off these kids of toxic conversations. 4. Therapy for everybody. That's very manipulative, and in no way should you even consider what he's saying. He needs straight-up help. His request is one thing. He needs reassurance that he's your one true love or whatever. I guess I get that, but it's a request and not one you should be guilted into obliging. No, the moment he chose to berate you and put your kids against you is absolutely messed up. I honestly wouldn't stand for it if I were you. I don't care how terminal his condition is. That doesn't give him a free pass to be a callous, manipulative.
Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband when I left the bar? Original post. I, 34 female, been married to my husband, 35 male, for almost a year now, and we dated for 3 years before. Ever since we started dating, whenever we go out without the other, we both let each other know where we are and when we arrive or leave, as a safety thing. Example, hey, I arrived to X bar, everything fine, or hey, I'm leaving the bar in an Uber, should be home in 10 minutes. Now, this weekend I went out with my friend Amy and we went to a restaurant and to dance. Around 2 a.m. we decided to go home, and because we live in opposite directions, we each took a different Uber. As usual, I texted my husband to let him know I was going home, and he told me that he was also leaving his friend's house and we should arrive at the same time. I knew that he was out with some of his friends that included Amy's fiancé, and we all know each other for a long time. But I wasn't really thinking about that, just following my routine. We both got home. I texted Amy to let her know I was home safe and went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, I had tons of messages and a few missed calls from Amy. My husband had also some messages and calls from Amy's fiancé. In her text, she was asking me what I had told her fiancé, what had my husband told the fiancé, how dare we meddle in their relationship, etc. The texts on my husband's phone were just asking if I had arrived home, and if I had any idea where Amy was. I called Amy, and she again asked what had I told her fiancé. I told her I haven't spoke with him, and she called me an a-hole and a liar, because if I didn't spoke to him, how did he know I had left at 2 a.m.? I explained to her that I had texted my husband as I always do, and she said I'm an a-hole for not telling her that I was doing that, and that my husband is a controlling a-hole for making me text him, and for telling her fiancé that she was also leaving. Then she hung up and haven't picked up again. My husband said he only told his friends that he was leaving because he wanted to arrive home the same time as me, and that if my friend did something, I don't know what, that's on her, not me. The thing is, this has reached my other friends, and some are saying that I should text my husband when I arrive home, not when I leave the club, and that I'm an a-hole for not telling Amy what I was texting my husband. Some agree with my husband and say this is on Amy for lying as she said we both stayed dancing even later, and not on me for texting my husband. Honestly, I don't know what to think, as I feel like maybe I should just text my husband arriving home instead to avoid compromising others, or to avoid creating an imaginary curfew for my friends. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. What the actual foot? No! OP candidate should tell the husband when she's leaving as a security measure, not when arriving. That defeats the purpose of letting each other know to be safe. On the other hand, OP is not putting any curfew to anybody. If the friend didn't inform the husband she was staying longer for whatever reason, or they don't have enough trust with each other to be honest, or not to be worried in these situations, then it's on them and their relationship. So the friend is a liar and OP is the one who pays for it, not the a-hole. Agreed, not the a-hole. As someone who listens to a lot of true crime podcasters and YouTubers, always let someone know where you are, especially if it's late and assuming alcohol is involved. OP's friend is a crappy friend. She lied and got caught. Now she's lashing out at everyone else for her mistake. She couldn't even let OP in on the fact she was using her as her alibi. Amy's delusional, and I wonder how long she has been using OP without them knowing to do whatever sneaky shenanigans she has been up to. Not the a-hole. Exactly, the safety aspect of this. Amy's stupid butt was in the wind, so she's expecting everyone she knows to be? My boyfriend and I do the same as OP, but I also have always done this with my friends. My friends check in when we get home, and not just the ladies because dudes can die too. A safety check is standard, or it should be. Honestly, I believe OP is not the a-hole. This is not her fault her friend lied to her partner. Amy did something stupid and got caught, and now it's putting the blame on OP. That's unfair. Amy is gaslighting OP, saying that husband is controlling and blaming OP for not telling her she texted her husband. Husband needs to tell his friend what Amy said. Amy cheated or did something shady, and I hope her fiancé breaks up with her. Amy cheated, nothing else. She cheated. I don't understand unless Amy is trying to hide stuff from her fiancé. If that's the case, it makes sense why she's mad. OP didn't do anything wrong here. I applaud OP and her husband for maintaining communication when they go out without each other. Shows integrity and strong relationship, and just general intelligence of doing what we can to be a bit safer. That is exactly it. Amy is mad at OP because she told her fiancé she was staying out late with her, but Amy's fiancé found out from OP's hubby that OP had been home for an hour already. So Amy got caught lying to her man about where she was, and she's blaming OP for not being good at being an alibi because OP's marriage is too transparent. LMAO. Now for the first update. Hello guys, it's been quite a week. After seeing all the answers, I decided to make the first update about this. I haven't heard Amy's version of what happened during that hour and a half she was missing, but her fiancé told my husband that everything's fine, and that the reason she was late was because she decided to walk home while smoking, and didn't want him to know and be disappointed she's smoking again. As of the wedding, so far that's still happening, but I'm no longer part of the bridal party, as Amy considers me no longer part of her trust circle. I'm still invited to the wedding, but as my husband's +1, because he's still part of the groomsmen. I'm glad I'm not a bridesmaid anymore, and I'm not sure if I'll be comfortable going to the wedding, because Amy and most of her bridesmaids act as if I was trash-talking her to her fiancé when I haven't even spoke to him. I wanted to thank all of those who supported me. I was really worried I had done something bad. But seeing so many people said that they do the same with their significant other or family, I feel much better. The reason she was late was because she decided to walk home while smoking. I didn't want him to know and be disappointed she's smoking again. Ah, yes, and I have a herd of winged unicorns in my yard. I just want to know how many cigarettes she smoked to be out for an hour and a half, just walking and smoking. Also, can I see your winged unicorns? She wasn't any smoking any cigarettes, I guarantee it. But she definitely had something long and cylinder-shaped in her mouth. Well, that guy likes being cheated on, because, yeah, no. 1.5 hours of walking home and smoking? Her reaction was such that I cannot believe smoking is the only thing she was hiding. I'm sure the follow-up post will be, update, Amy was cheating all along. Facts. I'll give Amy's marriage at least 2 to 3 weeks before her husband finds out she cheated on him. Maybe the poor man is in denial. Who would want to believe their loved one choose to cheat? That is exactly what it sounds like. He is in denial and doesn't want to believe it. Amy's excuse is weak, and her fiancé is desperate to believe her. Amy's reaction was way over the top, and if she was only smoking, I doubt she would have reacted as strongly. Don't go OP. Amy's house trashed here. It's not a huge loss to not be in the trust circle of someone that categorically cannot be trusted. Or go and ask Amy who she's cheating on her new husband with. If my friend was using me as a cover for their cheating, I'd want answers. Now for the last update. Well, Reddit, here's the long-awaited update. In short, the wedding was called off. All this I've heard from my husband, a few friends I still had in common with Amy, and from Amy's sister, who is very angry at Amy. Turns out that, as many had assumed, Amy wasn't being faithful. This past weekend, she went dancing with some friends and didn't came home until 5 a.m. Of course, she told her ex-fiancé that she had been with her friends all the time, and that's why she didn't answer her phone. Only for him to tell her that because she wasn't home and wasn't picking up her phone, around 2:30 a.m. he called one of her friends to ask to speak to Amy. And lo and behold, the friend had no idea where Amy was, because they had went dancing all right, but Amy canceled on them and didn't go. She still insisted she was dancing, but with her sister and her sister's friends. Then she went to bed. He called Amy's sister to ask her at what time had Amy left the club to come home, because he remembered the time Amy went dancing with me. And the sister said she hadn't seen Amy either. So, he finally confronted Amy, and after more excuses, she admitted she was with a work friend. At first, she said it was just a friend that she didn't mention because it's a guy, and her fiancé would be jealous. But after more fighting and circle talk, she told him it was just a bit of pre-wedding fun, nothing serious, and that it wasn't cheating because they didn't have sex, and it was only flirting and hanging out alone at his apartment. So he called off the wedding because he doesn't approve of this kind of pre-wedding fun. He is staying with some friends, and she is calling everyone she can think of to ask us to talk to him to get the wedding back on. Edit, because I saw some questions about my friends and ex-friends. 3 of the bridesmaids still in full support of Amy, saying that her ex should just hear her out, and the other 2 are radio silence. Make of that what you will. The friends in common that I mentioned here are what I consider drama-free. They know what happened before and what happened now. They're the ones that told me I did nothing wrong when the first thing happened in my original post. They weren't bridesmaids, but still part of the same friend group. I remember the first post, and I'm so not surprised with the outcome. I was more surprised when the fiancé believed her smoking story. Undoubtedly he didn't, since he was calling her all night, and ended up calling the friend to talk with her. Guess she thought friends and sister would cover for her. Also, guess they owe OP an apology. I'm not proud of this, but I had a friend when I was young that was trying to escape a controlling relationship, but it was taking her time to save up to leave. So when she wanted to go out without him, she'd use me as a cover. But she was smart enough to tell me when I needed to cover for her. Looking back, I don't know how controlling he really was, or if she was just a cheater, but I had just left a super controlling boyfriend, so it was believable to me at the time. So the real question is, did you dump Amy as a friend? Because she sucks big time. We stopped being friends when I was fired from being a bridesmaid, and she kicked me out of her circle of trust for talking to my own husband. I don't think she understands what the word trust means. Good riddance. I love when crappy people blow up their own lives. Keep rocking, OP. Oh, she knows what trust means. To her, trust means keeping her secrets so she can cheat without consequence. Even if she didn't physically cheat, she sure as heck lied her butt off more than once, dragging everyone into her messy drama. I hope everyone dumps her. And good for her ex-fiancé. Cheating or not, that amount of off-the-wall lies is enough. Got lost walking home smoking? Can I have some of what she was smoking? No chance it wasn't physical. You don't take a detour at 2 a.m. to just flirt with a colleague alone at his apartment. She was just trickle-truthing her fiancé because she thought she could get away with admitting that when her other alibi fell through. But I agree, even if no happened, he was still right to dump her for lying and throwing all her friends under the bus. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling the woman that I nanny for that her husband is cheating on her? I, 23 female, have been a nanny for this wonderful family for 3 years now. The family consists of mom, I'll call her Amy, dad I'll call him Ben, and their one child I'll call Cindy. I started when Cindy was a month old, and at this point, they all feel like part of my family now too. I decided to stick with them after graduating from college, instead of immediately pursuing a teaching career because I just love Cindy so much. On top of that, they pay me really well. Last weekend, I was out with my boyfriend getting dinner. To my surprise, I saw Ben at a restaurant as well, with a woman who was certainly not Amy. I tried to assume the best, thinking maybe it was a relative of his or something, but then he leaned over and kissed this woman. I was shocked and just told my boyfriend we should go somewhere else, and I pulled him out there quick because I did not want Ben to see me. This happened Saturday of last week. I thought things through that night and over a Sunday, and I really didn't know what to do. Amy's expecting another child with Ben, and I tried putting myself in her shoes. I decided that if it were me, I'd want to know that my husband was seeing another woman, so I told her on Monday morning. Ben is never the one home in the morning when I show up, it's always Amy. I walked in, took a deep breath, and just explained what I had seen. I was hoping maybe she'd tell me that the relationship was open, or they were already separating, but unfortunately that's not what happened. She immediately got tears in her eyes, and was just shaking her head in disbelief, and she kept asking me if I was sure that I had seen him. I told her yes, and she left work still crying. When she got home later, she seemed pretty emotionless and was quite cold with me. I got a text later on that evening saying that her and Cindy were going to stay with her parents for a week or two, and that she wouldn't be needing me to nanny until they got back. I haven't received any further communication from her. I thought that I was right for telling her, but my mom and a few of my friends told me that I was wrong for sticking my nose in their business. My mom even said I'll probably end up losing my job now, and I'll admit that has me very stressed out. Now I feel like an a-hole who blew up a marriage and stressed a pregnant woman out. So am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. No, but you might want to start that teaching career now. You did the right thing, but you'll probably have to deal with the fallout too. Sometimes doing the right thing has negative consequences. But you sound like a good person, and keeping it to yourself would have negative consequences for your well-being. No, Opie, not the a-hole. Not at all. You absolutely did the right thing, and for the right reasons. Her husband blew up the marriage, not you. You did not stick your nose in their business. He advertised his business in public, and you happened to see it. Thank goodness. Can you imagine being pregnant with your second child? You have that child, then a few years later you have a mysterious STD, so it comes out your husband was a dirtbag cheater. And then you find out the nanny knew the whole time and didn't tell you? No way. You were right to do what you did. It doesn't sound like he was even trying to hide it. Yes, you may lose your job, especially if his income is significantly more than hers. She may not be able to afford it during and after divorce. So don't assume there is anything personal involved there. Give her the time she noted before getting too concerned, but my advice is to sign up to substitute teach in your area in the meantime. Don't delay your future while you wait. Thank you for doing what you did. I wish someone would have done so for me back in the day. Thank you so much for this response. The substitute teaching idea is a very good one. I'm going to look into it. You're absolutely right. I honestly can't even imagine being in her position right now. It's just too horrible. This man was at a restaurant about 30 minutes away from our smallish town, so it very easily could have been someone else who saw him and told his wife. He really wasn't trying to hide it. Not the a-hole. I'm sure she wasn't trying to be cold with you. She was probably in shock and survival mode. The family may be disintegrating, so you may not have a nanny job anymore, but that isn't your fault. You did the right thing. If I was the wife, I would want to be told. Yeah, I'm not upset that she was cold with me. I know I'd be in shock if I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me, and we aren't married and have no kids together. I know she must be feeling absolutely horrible right now. Thank you for your response.